Yo, check the mic, 1, 2, Beacon is the name. Lights up the city, ain't playing no games. Joel Simmons and Michael Seville, the vision is clear. Dropping knowledge, conquering all of your fear. Beacon, that's the sound of the future. The main hosts are here, they built the whole structure. Community strong, we rise from the ground. The beacon power up, yeah, time to look up.
Greetings.
Beacon.
we actually just had a show. we had a pre-show. We had a pre-show.
I apologize. I should have.
So we decided to let you all join for a little bit.
Off. He was on fire. Gosh, man. Michael Seville.
All right, we ready? I think we have a slight delay.
There is.
I think it's a slight delay.
You're right.
Yeah, slight delay. I'm gonna jump out and jump back in.
All right, I'll do the introductions.
Oh, you know what I think? I think I know what it is.
What's going on, everybody? Community Beacon. It's 4:18 somewhere in the world, like right here. It's supposed to be 4 o'clock, but we had this dope behind the scenes capturing of Mike in his finest, his rare form. This is the type of conversation that we generally have on the telephone, that we have done our best to curate and put them here. Mike just jumped out because Wi-Fi signal signal was low, but nonetheless, we are here once again. Remember, I'm your man, Joel Simmons, Tenacity Foundation. And Palm Beach Mike is now entering the studio. Yes. There he is. The man with the Marlins cap. I hear you loud and clear.
I think you're still, I don't know. Something's going on with my internet connection, but I'll be cognizant of it.
Yeah, it's all right. I gave a little intro for you there, Mike. Palm Beach Mike. It's gonna be good today, y'all. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. Now you was about to break open something brand new, and you already stepped inside of the showroom just on fire. You know, I mean, just like you was dropping. And the crazy part about this is I literally just got off my last call. And I was talking with somebody about the exact same thing that you started talking. You started talking like that. And I had just ended a conversation about an online event that we are preparing for. And soon as you open up your mouth, it was like, what's going on, brother? Yeah, what's going on, brother? And then it was like, boom, online event.
Yeah, it was.
I was like, yo, it's only been 30 seconds since I was just talking to my boy about an online event and what we're doing. And I come in here and you just like dropped all this knowledge. So it was really good. And that's why you saw me. I was just like, gosh, man, this is like what's going on in the back of my head. It's like, this is speaking to me. This is speaking to me because I believe that God gives us this opportunity, right? We all get opportunities. We got opportunities all over the place. There's opportunities everywhere. A lot of times we don't recognize the opportunities because we're not ready for the opportunity, right? We're not ready. And so if you're not ready, you may not know what it looks like when it shows up. You may not know what it sounds like when it shows up. I love this one scripture. It's like, it talks about how the final trump, it's like, how are you going to know what the trumpet sounds like unless you study? So it's like, I get this framework of, okay, this is what it may sound like. The same thing, like, talking about different types of signals, different types of, an opportunity when you're driving to go through a light. Well, there's an opportunity there. A green light means it's your turn to ride through. If you don't know that green light means go in the United States, then you may stop. You may not know what to do. even though the light is flashing, the light is steady. It's like telling you it's your turn to go, right? It's your turn. Or if you get to a Publix and you want to order a sub, right? And you don't know that you're supposed to pull a ticket. You're standing right next to the ticket. Everybody comes by you. They reach over your head. They grab a ticket. You're like, what are they doing? Another one, grab a ticket. What are they doing? 78, 81. And you're like, what's going on? Hey, I'm here. But we don't recognize the ticket. And the ticket, by grabbing the ticket, we get an opportunity to put our order in. And so, like, opportunities are everywhere. And sometimes we can't recognize opportunities because we don't understand what we're looking for. We don't understand what's appearing. So let me ask you this question, Mike. You know, and this may be off subject because you're about to open up something else, but man, I didn't go on somewhere now. So let me ask you a question.
I'm with you.
What are your thoughts on opportunities? You know, seeing them, you know, utilizing them. This is kind of like opening up that conversation. And if you go in a different direction, that's good too, right? But just what are your thoughts on seeing them and like opening yourself up to opportunities?
I'm gonna try this. Hopefully, is it better? What's the delay like?
I mean, I hear you.
Yeah, I think it's still a decent delay, but I'll go. First off, I'd like to say in regards to the opportunity, I think that was an awesome way to open up the show, brother. Because that's one of the things that I was thinking about maybe around 20, 30 minutes before we even jumped onto the call was the only opportunity I think people miss is the opportunity to be present. Like I don't really believe that people miss out on quote unquote things, right? Oftentimes when you do get certain things before you even have a quiet understanding of it, then it can lead to other things, right? Which is also, it's an opportunity. It could be an opportunity to learn. But the opportunity that we miss out on would be to be present with just life in general, like just bringing yourself back to the present, bringing yourself back to, someone reached over me, right? Someone reached over me to get a ticket from Publix, and I'm laughing about that as well because I asked Elijah what he wanted later on for dinner. He said, "I want a Publix sub." So
come on,
you reach out and you don't get that. You reach out and you don't get that, but here's the opportunity. Now you have an opportunity to be in. I think once we start to notice a lot of these opportunities, right? But I think it's also for us to kind of look at people, because I think people miss opportunities all the time from not engaging with me, right? Like I hate to toot my horn, but I know a lot about a lot. And so when someone is not asking me questions, I'm just like, and also I had to say, okay, well, it's just not, they're just not there. They're just not aware of it yet. Sometimes people have to go through their own process and their own journey in order to get to the point of saying, okay, well, this is here's an opportunity and let me seize it. Now, I would turn the question back on you, like what happens? I think this is to me would be what I've heard someone say is like the sin of the heart is the doubt, right? Like when you start to doubt yourself, when you do recognize an opportunity. Now, I think that's a whole different ball game. If I miss something, they say ignorance is bliss. If you miss it because you didn't know that it was there, like how do you even know, right? Now we just kind of guesstimating on something. But when you know that you're sitting in front of something, right? Like say someone's sitting in front of you, has the chance to have a conversation with you. and they know who you are. They know your work. They know that you can add value at some point in time. And then they decide, for whatever reason, they doubt it, right? Our mind plays these tricks on us where it's just like, we come up with all these excuses. Oh, the brother gonna charge me too much. Or the brother you might not even charge somebody, right? It might not even be about them. But because I'm sitting in front of you and I you can convince yourself out of an opportunity. That's something that I would advise people to kind of sit with, about convincing yourself. I've seen people talk themselves, sitting in front of me, talk themselves out of an opportunity, right? Like because our mind will do these flips, these back flips, and this rationalization of this thing and that thing, and just miss out on something, right? Or start to go into a thought of all the negatives that could happen. Or maybe there's some type of experience they had where it's, this person thinks they know everything. You know what I mean? Or I'm gonna show them, like, I got more information. I do this a lot. I think this is the funniest thing to me, is when someone is just talking about something that I know a bunch about, right? Like, and they're just scratching the surface, and they just can't stop to just say, well, what do you know about it? They don't want to even get to a point where, what do you know about it? Or how do you know about it, right? Like, so these missed opportunities of being present, and part of being present is super listening or observing what the conversation is, brother. So I'll throw it back on you with that, like in the alignment or of this conversation that we started, which is something totally different than what we were talking about before we got on the show. So you all missed that opportunity because we didn't press the go live button.
Brother, man. So we're talking about recognizing, right? I want to see if I can clarify your question. When a person recognizes that there is an opportunity and they decide not to go forward with it, is that the question?
Yeah, that's pretty much roundabout. The missed opportunities, us talking ourselves or doubting ourselves or having trepidation or going into a space where we kind of miss out on it, although we know it's there, right?
So, man, this is it's almost serendipitous that this kind of conversation came up, because, like, I just had this experience with somebody dear to me. So I just want to make sure that I frame this really well, because I don't want, that if they were to watch this video, I don't want them to think that I'm referencing them in any way, shape, or form. Opportunities come to all of us, and sometimes we do recognize them. So first, I want to clear the space for people who believe that the opportunity is not for them, and they've made a decision based off of what their understanding of the opportunity is and whether or not they want to take it. Then I think that can be very, very appropriate, right? Every opportunity may not be your opportunity. It may not be your time. However, recognizing it was kudos to you. That's really good. And I think that's very appropriate. Now, stepping into the space of, doubt, it's like, where is that doubt at? Where does the doubt rest? Does the doubt rest in the person who is offering the opportunity, or what is presented as an opportunity? Or does the doubt rest inside of self? Is it self-doubt, the concern that, self cannot perform to that, to the qualification of utilizing the opportunity at its greatest capacity, right? And so there's a big difference between the two of them, right? From my perspective. And I don't think it's binary. I think that we would definitely have to, like, search out. There could be doubt seated in in the environment. There could be doubt seated in the way that the opportunity shows itself. There's just so many different places. But to take those two measures right there, the one I like to speak to, and that's if the doubt is seated in yourself. And so that's the one that is controllable, right? Like there's nothing I can do about the wind or a storm that happens, right? There's nothing that I can do about the natural elements that will happen, irregardless of whether or not I take the opportunity, right? There's only certain measures that I'm able to perform with and under, and those are my own personal ones. And I love the way that you frame yourself so frequently and with a great deal of consistency, which is confidence. You know, Michael Seville, Palm Beach Mike, is a highly confident individual in his own capacity. And so there's like no reservoir for doubt. And I say that freely. Mike, you can always interject at any point in time. But I say that freely as a belief in who my friend is. And so when I think about that, it's like the confidence inside of oneself, their own personal individuality and their ability to perform, that is the greater of the two opportunities that's missed. So if I were to say this guy named Tim, if I were to offer this guy named Tim an opportunity and Tim turns down the opportunity because Tim does not think that he can take this opportunity and make it great, then the doubt is inside of Tim. Therefore, Tim probably did a good job in not taking my opportunity, but he should take a larger, the larger opportunity in figuring out why he doesn't believe that he can be successful within the opportunity. Taking a long pause to let that kind of settle. And also for my lips to catch up with my thinking. Because as I stated before, there's a lot of things that make life challenging. And I'm not going to click through the internet to pull up this gentleman's name because we're having Wi-Fi difficulty, and I don't know if mine is affecting us either. But there's a gentleman who is a coach. He's a coach, and he is literally a quadriplegic, right? And he coaches football, and he's successful at it. And so when we start to think about natural things, right? There are natural things that can dissuade us. There are natural things that can affect our mindset on how we approach different things. There's so many different things that naturally could be there. It's like, hey, listen, I'm Black and this is a white man's world. So therefore, this is the reason why. Or it can be, I'm a man and this is a woman's world. And therefore I'm unable to. Or, I live on the east side of the tracks, and if anything happens, it happens on the west. So therefore, or I live in a third world country and you have to be in a first world country. So therefore, and it's like all of these different things that we utilize as people, the generation of people, right? 8 billion, 9 billion, wherever we are right now. It's a person being born right now, most likely. So whatever that number is, people are taking these reasons, these excuses, and they're justifying doubt and or fear, but they're justifying doubt. And because of that, I think that the greater opportunity then, if I'm not denying an opportunity or rejecting an opportunity because I have thoughtfully moved through it, and I believe that that my greater opportunity is weighed out over here, and I've made a logical assessment of the many opportunities in front of me, and I've decided not to do A, B, and C, but I'm going to take D and E, skip F, and I'm going to, X, Y, Z, skip all the rest of the letters. If that's what I'm doing, then great. because I know I'm doing it. I know I'm doing it based off of logic and based off of some type of measurement. But if it's just doubt because I don't feel like I can do it, then the greater opportunity is to learn why I have doubt in myself. Because if I failed at it once does not mean that I cannot do it. It simply means that maybe I need to do research in it. I need to get more information. I need to get more skill, more understanding. Like there could be so many other things that that may supply me the tools that are necessary to successfully complete this opportunity in front of me. And if there's doubt there, hesitation, it leads me to believe I should go and research that and find out why and what and when and where and how, so that I can perform at my highest level. Because the truth of the matter is, getting back to the young man, quadriplegic, he was in the newspaper last year, the year before, for his football coaching skills. How come this young man who's a quadriplegic can ride out onto a field with no arms, no legs, and he has to blow through a straw to move his wheelchair? How come he can become a coach and lead a team into victories, if any? And how come he can do that? And somebody else with all their legs and limbs and possibly sound mind and everything else and all the skills of the football player, how come they cannot? And that's an unfair judgment right there. And I realize that because I can't justify one versus the other, but it's like human beings have the ability to defy odds. So if the odds are defying us, make an adjustment.
Yeah. I think I love how you gave that example of the two different people, right? Because one would just signify that this person has all of these, what a person would see as the disadvantage, and ends up doing whatever it was that he put his mind to. This is what he wanted to do, right? Was to become the. You said he's a football coach. You say football. In my mind, I'm thinking soccer. When you're saying football, I'm thinking soccer, but we're talking about American football. Whereas there's somebody who probably has all their physical abilities, and there's a blockage as to why they're not. So a lot of that goes back to there's a saying, and you've used it before, brother, was that space in between your shoulders, right? Like that the way that we see and we how we relate to it. Yesterday I finished the program, or it actually finished today, it culminated today. But yesterday we had our last group session. And as a part of that group session, I was asked to bring in somebody who would hold me accountable. Oh, there you go.
Rob Mendez. That's his name. San Jose High School football coach, motivational speaker. Okay, go ahead, brother. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I just wanted to share that with the...
Now you meant it. That's all good.
I meant to cut you off, brother. I still apologize because I did it.
and I appreciate it. I do appreciate it.
Call me out, man. Call me out.
I'm not calling you out.
No, you did call me out.
I do it all the time, right? But anyway, so we had our last group session within this group. And it's been I'm not gonna say long, it's been a super impactful 5 weeks. And so I had to come up, I redid my principles, guys. I went from 10 to 5, really got down into it and learned a bunch of the tools along the way. And I was asked to bring somebody in for somebody to hold me accountable. And so as I was thinking about that, when they told us at first, I'm thinking about like who I'm gonna bring in. I said, I'm going to bring in Elijah, right? And because they would like bring in someone who, you know, they said the scarier the better. I'm like, well, let me bring this young man in so he can go in and do these principles, right? Even pick him up early from school so that we could make that last session. And so we're in the session, and everyone's going and they're doing their thing. And Elijah has long hair, or a lot of hair, a lot more than me. Paul says I'm bald, but whatever. And he started twisting his hair. And so we're on the Zoom chat, and I looked at him and I said, I've worked with kids mine, you know, 10, 20 years, right? With the start off in college. But anyways, I've noticed that amongst black males that when they get nervous and they have hair, sometimes they don't even have hair on their head, right? Sometimes they do have a shortcut. They tend to start twisting their hair whenever they get nervous. And so I saw Elijah doing it, and I was just making him aware of it, right? I was just saying, hey, listen, you know, what I've noticed, and if I'm wrong, let me know. But people, when they start to twist their hair, right, there's nerves there. Are you nervous? And of course, like, I'm not nervous. I'm like, all right, whatever. And so somehow during that conversation, no, I think I asked him. I was like, do you ever see me nervous? Or what do I do when I get nervous? Because I do have a tell when I get nervous. I said, what do I do when I get nervous? And he said, I've never seen you get nervous. And I said, huh. So I'm joking now. I was like, so you just think I'm a robot? He said, I'm just telling you, I've never seen you get nervous. And so that when I talk about doubt, or when I brought that up, it's not to say that these things aren't happening, like a part of you. Like especially if you've never done something before, this is the first time making an attempt on something, like there may be some fear there, right? Maybe that's the word. There's fear there, there's doubt. But to be, you know, then I have to ask you something called being courageous. And sometimes I disassociate. Let me be clear. There's times when I just put my head down and just march ahead, regardless of whatever the situation is, right? It wasn't until really this course I noticed that, and I was like, you know, and even identifying that as essentially abandoning myself in order for this to happen, right? This is probably willpower. This is probably discipline. This is probably what I would call willpower, what I call discipline. It's essentially abandoning myself and just going ahead. From the outside looking in, it could look like there's no nerves there. I would venture to say that it's probably more so, if I were to give it a net label, it would be like courage, right? Doing something in spite of the fear, in spite of the doubt, because I have fears, right? I have doubts. I have a brain, right? That's how I tend to be. You know, how I became so hyper vigilant. Anyone who's hyper vigilant, it's because they're attempting to figure all these things out, like just to make, you know, if this happens and this happens, and this happens, that happens. There's probably fear underneath it. I'm not calling you out. I'm telling you what I've noticed in my experience. People who tend to be that hyper vigilant, they tend to have fear somewhere there. Maybe they know it's there, maybe they don't. I know mine was there, and so I was able to see it. And so from that, I just want to say that when I speak about doubt, it's not as if I don't have it, right? I do. You might not be able to tell. I'm sure if you play poker, you'd be like, oh, there it goes. Because now that I've noticed what it is that I do, I can see it all the time, right? Where it's just like, oh, there you go again. Oh, you're doing it again. And it's super slight, super micro expressions. You spoke also about, brother, I thought was the identity. You were saying that people can identify in certain things, whether they're Black, and maybe you're saying that it's this way, and these are some of the things that what I would call stories that we put in our mind to say that this is going on. This is not to say that this doesn't happen, right? I'm not here to tell you whether or not racism exists. As far as I'm concerned, it does. I'm not here to say that you don't get prejudged, right, according to a narrative. I think that happens all the time. There's even a book, I think it's called, it might be Blink or something, where they talk about the 7 seconds, you know, within the first 7 seconds, based upon how you look. People already carry certain judgments in regards to you. And maybe you've decided now, this is the difference, to take on those identities, right? Like we were looking at each other and we're, for me to say that I'm not black, like someone will be like, well, I don't know, Mike, maybe you need to go see a therapist or something if that's not the case. If you don't identify as that. So we're talking, there's definitely a difference between biology and our perceived looks, so on and so forth. But I'm talking about, in this case, I'm talking about the actual taking on the story that's attached to this identity, or what this identity entails. And however you take those on, it's going to give you a certain set of beliefs about it if you believe those identities. Now, you can call this belief whatever it is that you want to. And I think that at certain times, like, you do take on an identity, right? If you are a father, sometimes I take on the identity of a father. These identities can be appropriate for the time, right? Like you start to look at, okay, well, this is what a father does. This is what a father entails. Now, it's when you start to take on these identities or this belief of this identity, and that starts to become you, and you start to see results that you don't necessarily want, right? Like you're starting to go in a way, and this identity is carried this way, and you, in your mind, the identity becomes rigid to where you can't expand, right? One of the things that I learned in this last 5 weeks was we get to have an and, okay? So I get to be a father, and I get to have discipline and have my thoughts surrounding it, and I get to listen to what it is that my son has going on, and I get to be present with him in certain type of situations, and I get to hold space for him, right? Depending upon my capacity. So you can have these different identities and these beliefs. I would call it a limited belief when you can't attach an and to it, when it can't start to expand, when it starts to put up reservations or doubt or trepidations that now you're starting to act on, right? It's one thing to be aware of it. It's one thing the brother talks about acknowledging it, right? And even accepting it. But when you start to act upon it in a certain kind of way that's not bringing you, that's not aligned with you. Let me not even say the results that you want, because the results that you get might be even better than what you thought they were, right? What you wanted is quote unquote. But you start to make the adjustment. It's not an alignment, because even if you can make $1 million, but if you're not in alignment with how you made that money, it might torture you, right? Like if you had to do something that was against your moral upbringing or whatever. So I would just say that the brother, I love what the brother said. The brother said, let my mind catch up to my mouth. So when we start talking about this, the relationship, right, to the doubt, the relationship to the trepidation, the things that may cause you to miss out on what you, in your mind, say you miss out on opportunity, I would advise that you can go back and start to really look at it and treat it as a lesson. That's how I would spin it, right? That's why I tend to be so confident in the way that I am, is because I don't think I've ever missed an opportunity, right? I always jokingly say the only opportunity I missed was when my friend tapped me on the shoulder and I turned around and he punched me in the eye. Like I missed the opportunity to duck at that point in time. However, 20 years later, I'm having a joke with a guy that I met in another program that I was doing, and he spoke on it, talking about someone tapped him on the shoulder and punched him in the eye. And we actually bonded over that experience, right? So I'm jokingly saying that these are part of the things that I regret. But there's never been an opportunity that just it wasn't for me, right? Like I can go back and I can see things, and granted, I've never, Gary Vee talks about how he could have invested more into Uber and it would have made him a billionaire. Like I don't have any of those type of things, so I'm sure I'd probably be kicking myself in the butt over it. But other than that, it's just like for me, because when you become present, I'm gonna take it to that part because I want to give us some tangible things. When you start to become present, like the brother said at the beginning of the show, there's opportunities in abundance. You will get overwhelmed at the amount of opportunities that's going on out there. I get emails every day to the point where I had to start not looking at them, unsubscribing from opportunities because if I sat there and I looked at it and tried to analyze each and everything that's available for you that's out there that I'm probably super skillful in, right? I'd be stuck. It'd be paralysis analysis at that point in time, because there's an abundance of opportunity, right? What I would look for is, am I being present in this moment? Is it in alignment? These principles I got that I'm looking at right now, is it in alignment with my principles? And now what I got to add this year, which I'm super focused on, is like, is it going to result in joy? Like, am I going to be excited about doing it? Right? Like I heard about these guys, they had like me and the brother, our pre-meeting, right? Like I wish you guys could be a fly on the wall for some of our pre-meetings and some of our our pre-shows and some of our post shows, because it's joyful to be in that. And it could be some of the most serious, and not could be, all time, there's some serious conversations. But because of the energy that's exchanged, because of the space that's being held, because of the understanding that we have for each other, the empathy that we have for each other, we can talk about some very serious things and it not amount to, spinning out of control or something. You know what I mean? But it becomes a joyful thing. What I'm saying is that you can do difficult things, right? You can do things that are in your mind are difficult, or you can do things that can be not overwhelming, but kind of daunting. You could do things that are super technical. You could do things that have certain like little, over and over again, but if it can also result in joy, right? If it's something that if it's in your alignment, you go in there, you start to figure out, how do I do it the right thing, and I do it the right way, right? Because there's a lot of things that we're doing things that we want to be right? We're doing the right thing, right? Our intentions, right? Our intentions are on things that are laudable. However, we're doing it the wrong way. So now all of a sudden it becomes this daunting task, right? It's like, I gotta go do that again. Like, oh my gosh, I gotta do it this way again. I gotta, for me, it's like reaching out. I gotta go reach out to this person again. And I'm not a fan of like being just checking in. I don't like just checking in with people, right? I like to talk to people, and we're going to get into in my mind, a super serious conversation. And at the same time, I can be like, well, Mike, you don't have to be super serious all the time when you have we don't have to go super deep all the time, right? We can talk about, whatever. We can joke about whatever, right? We can have a good time and it not necessarily get so super deep to where I get off this phone call and I need to go take a nap to recharge my battery, right? You know what I mean? But if you start doing that over and over and over again, you start to associate that activity, sometimes even that person, with something negative. It could have started off with this positive intention of whatever it was, right, to get to a certain result or whatever it is, but over time, every time you might start to see someone's name pop up on your screen. You're like, this person again, right? Because of the way that you're doing it, the way that we're having the conversation. Now, when I started saying, okay, well, this year, and then that was one of the asks that I had from Elijah. I said, Elijah, you know how I am, right? During this meeting, everybody's listening. I said, you know how I am. You know how I start to get super focused and rigid on whatever it is that I'm doing. And Elijah will tell you, he's here with me, right? So he'll tell you, boy, it used to be like, but I think my father's a nut. The dog will tell you, like, Mike might be a nut, like he's crazy, like something's wrong with him. And I start to get super laser into this tunnel to where I'm just going super deep on something, right? I'm just going, and Chat GPT does not help to where I'm just like super into something. I said, Elijah, what I need you to do is ask me, am I having fun? I said at any point in time, at least once a week, just, hey, you could text this to me. Hey, are you having fun? Just as a simple reminder, right? That what this is about. Like, are you having fun? Are you following your principles? Are you having fun with it? Because and then that gives me a reminder of whether that's not. And I'm like, okay, you're right. I'm not. I appreciate, and I asked him if he was able to do that for me. I said, listen, I'm giving you carte blanche, right? Don't weaponize it against me. But if me or you are having a serious conversation, even in a serious conversation, hey, Dad, let me ask you something. Are you having fun? Like, is this enjoyable for you to be giving me this talk, so to speak, right? And think about this. Think about how interesting this is, right? If you're having, because I know the brother has children as well, and sometimes we get into this mode, right? I'm thinking of mine like, I know I wouldn't have got away with this. And so I get to the point where I'm saying, like, the dishes become something, right? Like, why do I have to keep telling you about these dishes, or your room? Like, why do I have to keep telling you about this room? So within this conversation, I'm reframing it, right? I even joked with them on the live when we had. I said, listen, I'm gonna tell you what. When I have to remind you about your room, no, I'll tell you something that's really, when your teachers send me something about you not turning in work. I say, Elijah, when your teachers send me something about you not turning in work, and I screenshot it and I send it to you, I said, Elijah, that's not enjoyable for me. Like, I'm not enjoying that. There's no fun in that. So let me ask you a question, because he's still young, right? Our brains aren't fully formed until we're 26. I want people to understand that, especially about us, how we form our identities. I'm not going to get too deep into that today. I said, I'm still going to be the father, and I'm still going to hold a place for you, but I'm letting you know that, that we have to figure out some kind of way that works for you is working for me, because I'm curious. Like, I'm asking them questions now, because now I'm getting fun, because I love asking them questions. Like, what are you rebelling against, right? Because you did the work. That's what you're telling me, and I'm looking at it like it's deep in your book bag on the bottom of all the books or whatever. So why, like, I said, you got to start. I'm just letting you become aware of the fact that there's a reason as to why you didn't turn it in, and it's probably raging against the machine. It's just rebellion. You're at that age where I understand that, right? I'm having compassion for that, but me having to have this conversation with you is not enjoyable or fun to me, right? And your teacher doing it. I'm sure your teacher doesn't want to write the extra email to me. They do it because it's their job. I'm coming to you because I was made aware of it. But how can we have you do that and have our relationship be more enjoyable and happy, as opposed to, oh man, here come that crazy guy again, whatever it is that he has. So this kind of went far off, but this identity, this limited belief, this getting to have an and attached to it within the identities. Well, like I said, the identities can be super appropriate. It's only when you start to limit those identities to possibly, whatever it is that may make you miss, I don't know, may make you not see an opportunity that's available to you.
That's good, man. But let me address one thing off top. And you mentioned this like almost immediately when you started commenting. Paul said you look like you're bald. And I'm looking at this picture on the screen, and I'm like, Paul's right.
Paul is super accurate.
I'm like, Paul, looking at what I'm looking at, you do look like you're bald.
Paul is super accurate. I ain't gonna say he's right. I'm not gonna say he's right, but he's pretty accurate for sure.
You got to remember, Paul is like, what is he? What is he, like 3'1" or something like
that? Yeah. Well, I don't know how tall. He's probably about 4 foot now. So he's a nice guy.
He's huge. 4
feet
he's
tall. Getting. He's
a giant. So you gotta know he's looking up at you. He's looking at your chin. So all he sees is forehead.
Oh man, that's true. You know that's from his point of view. He said, I said, yeah, we're getting a haircut. He said, I'm not getting a haircut like you. He said, you're bald. I said, okay, that's exactly who's gonna let you get a haircut like me.
Well,
they get those comments.
Who takes advantage of his opportunities?
I'm gonna tell you what. Absolutely, because those kids tend to be present, right? Like when you look at Paul is present with whatever it is that he's doing. Like not what I want him to do. It's a whole different thing. Like I want him to be present doing certain things because I'm a grown adult, and I'm that age to where I want it to be a certain kind of way. You start to become rigid as you get older. I remember Tony Robbins spoke on that. But kids tend to be super present, especially at that age, up until, because they're forming. So everything is this moment. As we start to get older, things just start to become fleeting, right? So there's things in my mind, things like start to speed up. Like, oh man, we already at the end of February. Like, how did we get here? For Paul, it's been, as far as he's concerned, it's been forever. 15 minutes, that's forever. That's what he'll tell me. Like, that's forever. Like, I want it now, super present. This is what's going on now. So yeah, brother, he super present with my bald head for sure.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, bro. That's good stuff. That's good stuff. But I love the way you just kind of like threw that in the middle of the entire conversation, likewise with Elijah and just being there with him, the presence is a huge thing, and there's almost it's almost an oxymoron, right? Presence, almost, because like essentially you can be present doing anything, right? You can, whatever it is. Even if you're looking into the future, if you're presently looking into the future and that's what you desire, it's hard to argue that that person isn't being present. So I feel like that's some of what you were opening up, if not much of what you're opening up with the opportunity, is that opportunities are in abundance. I think we both said that. Opportunities are in some way, shape, or form, we both said that. Opportunities are in abundance. It's just the perception of it, right? And so I love the way that you framed this. Whether you did it purposefully, intentionally, or not, bringing in your two sons was just it showed viewpoints, right? Perspectives. So we're talking about Paul being such and such tall and the way he looks, and it's like, oh, maybe that. And then we talk about Elijah and him being such and such years old, and the brain formation made me think about my son Jonah, and it's like, oh my gosh. Whew, I'm not the only one going through that thing with the email thing. It's like, why does the school keep telling me? What? Like, I'm trying to be present at work right now. I don't need this email. It's like, what is going on? Oh my gosh, man, I'm talking about emails. Y'all don't, if y'all don't, I don't know if this is for every school, but if y'all don't know, we get emails when they get bathroom passes.
Yeah, what's up with the bathroom?
This is crazy. It's like, it doesn't say your son going to the bathroom, but it's like your son just got a bathroom. Jonah just got a restroom pass. I'm like, come on now. Come on. Really? Is this what we're doing now? This is what happens in school? All right. So I know exactly how many times my son used the restroom every single day. Right? It's like the whole world. Is this right, Mike? Jeez. Man, it's like the whole world's full of opportunities. And it's really something else when you start to think about this, because every single life is an opportunity, right? One of my favorite scriptures, Ecclesiastes 9 and 11, where it talks about how the race is not given to the quick, nor yet bread to the strong, but time and chance happeneth to all men, which is at the very bottom of that scripture. Time and chance happeneth to all men. And it's like, oh my gosh, time is here for a purpose, for a reason, right? God put the solar system in the air so that we will be able to see the seasons, right? And we'll be able to gauge our ways of life, and we can do that with the sun and with the moon, and with the stars, and we can use it for direction and light and all these other great things. They're tools, right? And then you start to look at that time and chance, so everybody gets chance, everybody gets opportunity. If you're alive and breathing, you have a chance, you have an opportunity, no matter how large or how small that is. Even a baby has a chance to breathe one more time, right? And it's kind of crazy, because when we frame opportunities as a peg, that square peg that goes in a square box, it really does limit opportunities. But then when you have a conversation like we're having today, it's like, no, opportunities is life at large. If anyone can say anything right now, that's an opportunity, whatever it is. And if you can't say it, but you can think it, that's an opportunity. And if you can't think it, but it's happening, that's still an opportunity. You cannot stop the opportunity. It's almost, if it could be greater than abundance, would that be it? And so it's just like, wow, man, this thing is like infinite. And so it does come down to some of the things that we've been discussing in this conversation, which starts to go into how we frame whatever it is that we're looking at or being or breathing or whatever, and the knowledge that we have to approach it. Right? These things are what makes the opportunity valuable to us. And now when we start talking about valuable opportunities, then there becomes a decision, right? Because we denote value. Mike and I can sit down at a table at Carmela's or Starbucks, whatever, Dunkin' Donuts. We could sit down at a table, have this conversation, and a person can walk up and they can say, would you like this? And both of us one of us could consider that to be the opportunity of a lifetime. The other one of us could be like, that ain't even an opportunity. Like, what are you doing here? Just like, we're having a conversation. Not that either one of us would be that individual, because neither one of us are really rude. However, it's just for the example, to position the example as, if I feel like it's valuable, it then becomes an opportunity. If I don't feel like it's valuable, I may never recognize it as an opportunity. So what then makes something valuable may be the ultimate question of whether or not of how to frame an opportunity. What makes it valuable to an individual may be a way. I'm going to say a way because this is a thinking construct right here that we're in. You know, especially for me, this is a thinking construct, right? So I'm not saying that I have all my thoughts wrapped around this construct. I'm saying that the construct is very present right now. The scaffolding is not necessarily developed, although there is scaffolding inside the room. But
let me jump in real quick, brother, because I
please
think what
do,
you're
because it's ominous.
yeah, what you're speaking on is super, super powerful, and and this gives you an opportunity to kind of see it from a different lens. And when you say, like, what is not valuable? It could be valuable to something, but if I'm thinking in terms of just me, or my principles, then yeah, I can easily turn something down. But when we're speaking on opportunities, it's like, oh, this might not be for me, but man, I think Joel will value this, right? And then I can turn around and if Joel's not there, I can say, okay, well, I'm gonna shoot Joel this information, and he can take it from there, right? From the person. There's been, I don't know how many times how many times I've sat down with someone, and one thing comes to mind. I was working with Sarah Beth. Shouts out to Sarah Beth. She was the president of Toastmasters. I think she was immediately before me. Yeah, Sarah Beth or was it Maritza? I'm not sure, but they both are awesome people. And we were sitting down, and I just happened to talk to this lady that was sitting next to us. We were actually in a coffee shop, and the lady said, "Oh, I'm at Manatee Lagoon." She was like one of the people above in Manatee Lagoon, and she said she was looking for people to do different opportunities of teaching yoga. And immediately I'm like, well, Sarah Beth teaches yoga. And I'm like, Sarah Beth, here's such and such, you all get together. And lo and behold, maybe a month or 2 months later, Sarah Beth was teaching yoga classes at Manatee Lagoon on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I happen to even go to a couple of them, and I'm probably the most rigid person in the world, but it was enjoyable. And we had a bunch of different people out there doing it. But for this person that was talking about a yoga thing, the value to me, I mean, it's still everything. Like I'm not going to put a value on it to say what it is. It just wasn't within my guidelines, but it was, like you mentioned, brother, it was valuable to somebody. So at this point in time, like now when you're in this position of being that valuable person, whether it's through your information, whether it's through your network, and you're making yourself, like I spoke about earlier, it's overwhelming if you're present, because there's probably somebody in that there's probably some information you can find out to kind of put these two things together. That within itself is valuable, right? That has value to it. So I think I totally understand the part of like how we denote value to anything. But if you are in fact present, and I'm defining with this framework present by being vulnerable, impartial, empathetic, and full of wonder, right? Curiosity in that moment, and you're asking these questions, just whatever, and this is what this person does, anything can come out of it. There's times when you can be sitting with somebody and they're probably in your mind there was nothing happening. Next thing you know, boom, right? A guy who what is it? A guy who worked at the city in Parks and Recreation at the Youth Empowerment Center, and a guy who worked as a firefighter out with the Seminoles, and now here we are 6 years later doing a show that has infinite, in my esteem, infinite value, the amount of information and conversations and things that we got. But when you just put them, if I'm rigid in my way, like this is what this guy does, and this is what he has going on, and this is why I have going on, and I'm not present within this moment, then yeah, there may not necessarily be value within it. But once we start to become, all those present, right? Once you start to have all these things and having these conversations, now we're talking about lifelong friendships. How much is that worth? Right?
How much is that
Lifelong,
worth?
yeah, not lifelong relationships. How much is that worth to you initially? Right? So everything has value to somebody. Be present with it.
Everything.
Yeah. Be present with it. We got to understand, I sit in a lot of conversations with a lot of people, and I've been doing things a long time, right? Even in real estate, I could sit with someone who has, maybe they live in a certain part of town. They don't know real estate like I know real estate, and they just get to talking, and I'm just listening because there's value there. If I'm there, there's a reason. If I'm present and I'm there, I'm going to find value in it. There's something that's going to spark for me, So I think, man, this is huge. This is that abundance, that value. I was thinking of something that you said as well, the resources that we have. And somebody said something recently that kind of changed my paradigm on these resources. And when they were talking about money specifically, and they said this guy was having trepidation about money. He's making a lot of money now, but it was a time when he was broke. And so he's getting overwhelmed because he's going out buying all kinds of stuff, right? He has this thing with money. And the guy asked him, was coaching him through this, and he said, the thing that we tend to start to look at our relationship with money is that we're working for it. But money should be working for you. So he said, so now when you go out and buy this stuff, whatever it is that you're buying, whatever it is, like, how does it make you, like, he was talking about this thing. He said, would you do this again? He's like, yeah, man. Cause when I bought it, it made me fit, I got this way and it led me to this, like it made him feel a certain kind of way. He said, now what if you approach every purchase in that kind of way to where when you're spending money, right? It's not just, I'm just spending money. You're spending money so that it's working for you. It becomes an investment at that point, right? Like now it's an investment. Are these investments that you're making something that you're proud of? And I'm like, man, that was dope the way that he framed that. And then I said, but it's not just money. It's all the resources that we have. Time being one of them. Are you working for time or is time working for you? Right? Like think about any kind of resource. Is your knowledge? Are you working for knowledge or is your knowledge working for you? Like how are we shaping our relationship to these different resources to the point to where now that it works for you, you're sending your resources out and you're not working for them. I'll never work for time again. Time is going to work for me. How does that frame that? Because this is the outcomes that I expected to have. And if it doesn't have these outcomes, or if it's not aligned, but more than outcomes, if it's not aligned to a certain kind of way, joy being one of them now, then I don't want it. You're not going to put me to work and I'm just miserable about it because I'm choosing that at that point, right? Like I'm choosing to be miserable talking about time, which I was driving today. I said, but today, right now might be the end of it. Like I'm not saying a person to think. I'm not thinking about death in that kind of way to where like Michael. I'm not by far. I'm having too much fun right now. Right. This will be the awesome. If if the Most High decided to take me now, I'm like, come on, man. Like, give me, let me get some more time. I'm really starting to enjoy this thing now without necessarily even having to do anything. Right. I'm just breathing and enjoying the breath of me having it. But I'm just thinking like we're working for this thing, this time that we're not even in control of it. So
and now we have.
And that we have.
Right? We've already got it. That was the gift.
So, I would advise, I know we're cutting it close to the end, but like just start to think about things. And I think one of the big things that came out of this conversation was like our perception, how we relate to these different things, right? Whether it's opportunities, FOMO, fear of missing out. Oh man, I'm fear of missing out, right? Like, how do you relate into that? One thing is these phones. Think about the phones that we have. That mean, man, I got to pick up my phone to look at something. One of the things that happened over this last 5 weeks is that I haven't been picking up my phone as much. I'm not scrolling like that. I'm not. It used to be, oh, I gotta see this because what if I miss? Okay, it'll be there, right? Like now the funny part is like, what am I doing with this time? Because it's like I got all this freedom now. It's like, oh shoot, I'm free. You know what I mean? Like,
got rid of old ball and chain.
yeah. Now it's like, whoa, now I'm light. I'm light. What I'm going to do with this speed in that case, right? Like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do with this freedom? And then that's even, that's something that's like, oh man, right? It's been an interesting thing, but I want us to, whoever's tuning into this thing is like, how am I looking at this thing? And I would advise you to reach out to one of us in regards to it. Like if you reach out to one of us and it'd be a super genuine thing, because let's be honest. Are you telling us a story that you just want me to to affirm for you? Because I don't know. I'll listen, but I'll necessarily know if I'll affirm it. The brother, no, I'll be like, I don't know about that, right? Like I'm gonna give you my spin to it. But also, if you're reaching out to somebody, especially if you're looking for someone for some type of guidance in some kind of way, I'm not saying I'm the one for that, definitely, but be open to looking at it differently, right? Be open to looking at these things differently and just try it on. Next week, if you're still here next week, whatever, you can say, hey, that's not working for me. And then guess what? You get a chance to try something else. And then you can go try something. You could try looking at it somewhere. This takes no money, right? I'm just looking at it differently. Well, what if I start to ask myself these questions? The real thing, I start to question my assumption. What if this is not this? How will that point me in life? Like, how will I look at this thing at this point in time? I'm telling you what, I'm gonna tell you what, it changes a lot, because then you go start finding it there, and then you can start finding it in other places, and then the ball and chain gets cut loose. You start doing things differently. You start wanting to spend your time a different kind of way. It's no longer, oh, I didn't do anything. It's like, man, I was enjoying just being present. My alarm had to go off if I had to set an alarm because I was just enjoying this thing, right? You start to catch the moments. That's probably one of the dopest things I've had with Elijah and with Paul and with my loved ones. I'm like catching these moments because I'm not even, it's like, man. And then they start to tell you things. They probably were saying it. And the funny thing is they've already been saying it, right? They start to tell you things. You start to notice them and start to hold space for them. And the more you start to hold space, the more you start to catch it, the more they want to tell you, the more you start to instill, especially at this age, you start to instill that empowerment about who they are, right? I can't tell you the amount of people who are, certain age and they're not okay with themselves, right? Because it was never really, they may have missed it, right? Somebody may have missed it along the way. But now when you start to become present, they start to tell you start to allow them to start trusting in themselves and their path and start to give them, and they start listening to you more, right? So that's mine. That's my spiel. Last thing. Next week, Wednesday, I'm gonna be interviewed by Taylor Chandler on her YouTube channel in regards to real estate. She does marriage and counseling.
Send me the link, bro.
Yeah. She's an awesome young lady. But next week we'll be doing a live. We'll be talking about real estate in regards to she reached out in regards to I answered one of her questions about the effect that relationships are having in regards to relationships within our community. And and I gave her a certain spin on it from my vantage point as a real estate agent. And so she'll be bringing me on, and I'm not here to bash anybody, but I am going to tell my truth, the old truth, and nothing but the truth. And you're definitely welcome to comment and maybe not necessarily agree or align, but I'm telling you what's exactly I've been seeing from this vantage point, so, or perspective. So yeah, next week Wednesday at around 6:30, if you're watching this, definitely tune in, and I'm sure it'll be on her channel after that. All
6:30
right, I'm
p.m.
done. Yeah, 6:30. I think, yeah, 6:30.
All right. Yeah, man. Make sure if you do remember, send out a link so we can jump on it. You know, even if you put on your IG or something like that or whatever, then that'll be great. I want to tune in and see what you're talking about. I know it's going to be good. I wanted to say this, and just kind of like in closing, like opportunity creation, just a small little bit about it, because you said something that just caused me to think about it. And it had nothing to do with like creating opportunities. It's just that was the way that that was the thought that came to my mind. And I started thinking about like my son. And my son came to me, I think I may have told you this, a few days ago or a week ago, and he comes to me, I'm just sitting down in front of the computer, right? I've had the computer in different spaces, different places a lot lately. So you guys might even see me in a different place on this show, because I've been doing a lot of internal stuff right now. So not as much external, a whole lot more internal. And guys, go and visit my website, joelsimmons.com, and drop me a comment and let me know what you think about it. It's different. So anyway, I'm sitting there, and my son just like comes down and says, doosh, 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 doosh. And he comes downstairs. I'm just sitting there, clickety, click, 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 doing all this stuff. And he's like, "Hey, Dad." I'm like, clickety, click, yeah. It's like, what was that word? What word? Like the safe word. Safe word that you said I could say, no judgment. I'm like, oh, and I tell him the word. He's like, oh, okay. I'm like, yeah, no judgment, nothing at all. Just there to help. That's it. And he looks at me. He's like, okay. And I say, we good? He's like, no. Yeah. I just want to make sure I remembered it. Okay, thanks, Dad. Love you. And he walks back upstairs. It's like, yo, that was crazy. It was just like, it was crazy. You talk about creating space, and like creating space is like creating an opportunity. I don't know if he'll ever use the word. No clue. But just to know that weeks after or a month after or however long it's been since we created that word, that thing popped up inside of his mind, and he needs to run down the steps and come and ask me to ensure that he knows what that word is. Tell me he loves me, and then go back up the steps. It means like that felt good as a father to know that there's something, that I instilled, the grace of the Most High that was instilled inside of him so that he would know that there is a space where he has an opportunity to come and talk to me about anything in the world, and there will be absolutely no judgment. And to ensure that he'll say this one word, and when he says that one word, it's going to cue up a mindset that I'm about to hear something, and whatever that is that I'm about to hear, I'm only there to help. No judgment, no discipline, none of that stuff. It transports us. It's like we create opportunities. And so I know that that may possibly lead us into a whole nother question. Maybe it's something that we want to discuss next week, whatever. But when we start, this conversation is so large, so just very, very large. I mean, we're talking about words like abundance in this episode. We talked about abundance. We talked about infinite. We talked about opportunity. We talked about space. We talked about these words that are like limitless and weightless and also very heavy in connotation at the same time. And it's like, there's infinite possibilities within what we're discussing. And perspective is such a great, great word to accompany these other words. So to all of you out there, if this is actually the closeout, then to all of you out there,
if it is,
as much as it is in you, keep an open perspective. I do believe in foundational things, so if there is something foundational, as you will, keep your foundational points, especially if they align with you, and just be open to perspectives. And I offer that as something that I use. Grateful to be here.
Amen. People, it's been a awesome hour. Like the brother said, like, man, this is it. I think our conversations are like big, like they're huge. Like this one tonight is definitely like a big one. Like I'm feeling abundant because of it. I might go take a nap.
gotta soak it all in and let it you gotta do what it do.
Yeah, or take a walk. Like you go put the phone down and go outside, take a walk, and just kind of sit in it, man. Because it's a big conversation. Even that ending, brother, I love that with your son. Like, I think I spoke to Beethoven recently. I'm like, man, we just gotta. He's like, man, all these different things, and we got these labels. This everybody going to this whole thing, right? Whatever's going on the internet, so on and so forth, because of the we got a lot of time, people. Like we there was a time when you had to go out and work in the fields, and when you were done, or whatever it was, some factories, etc. And when you were done, like you didn't have it in you, right? Like it was hit the bedtime. You ate and you probably went to sleep and woke up again to do it the next day. Like that's up until this point, that's kind of what humankind was for most people, right? Not necessarily the bourgeoisie, the kings or whatever, the royalty, but for the majority of people, it was that, right? Along with danger, always lurking, and so on and so forth. We live in a place now where, as much as we believe that is dangerous, it's not like it was, right? There's no something lurking around, but our primal minds makes it seem as such, right? Like it's gonna find something. Like what they would call the reptilian brain is looking for these things, right? And safety and vice versa. So now we start to have these conversations because we have this time. But you can use that time to create an opportunity, right? Like you mentioned with your son, like that creating that space to where it's like, yeah, and my dad is holding this space for me, right? Whenever that happens, if that happens, right? But it's there. That's even a super deep connection, man. So I'm definitely proud of you. I'm super proud of Jonah for super proud of Jonah for even taking that, doing it, right? I think that shows initiative. That shows, that there's love there, there's trust there, there's looking for that. And a lot of us were looking for that, and parents were, for whatever reason, they may not necessarily have been there, whatever reason, right? I'm not here to do that. But for him to actually take hold of that and move forward, teacher could call 1,000 times. I'm proud of you for that. Don't let the teacher call 1,000 times or email 1,000 times. But as far as you becoming the man that you are, I'm super proud of that moment that you had with your father, because I know what that means to him, and I definitely know what that shows the type of character that you have, right? So, yeah, Jonah, man, that definitely warmed my heart, man. So, awesome. Let's close. All right, people.
Let's close.
We will see you next week, Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. Love you.
Yo, check the mic, 1, 2, Beacon is the name. Lights up the city, ain't playing no games. Joel Simmons and Michael Seville, the vision is clear. Dropping knowledge, conquering all of your fear. Beacon, that's the sound of the future. The main hosts are here, they built the whole structure. Community strong, we rise from the ground, the beacon power up. Yeah, time to look up.